The story of the 2016 Falcons cannot be told by just mere fans, but by outsiders. Matt Poole, who lived close to the Falcons, lived through this nightmare every day.
Yeah, I live basically around the area. I live in South Carolina, and I live in the area between South Carolina and Georgia. And I had a choice between. I had to literally look at. I had no choice but to when you turn on the TV before even Sunday Ticket was around. You had only two choices watching two teams. You either had to watch the Carolina Panthers and Atlanta Falcons, and I did not want to see that sorry ass team, neither of them. So it was like you were border between two teams. And man, that 2016 team, man, they were dicks. Every last one of them were dicks. I just remember the team. I remember going to the first game, and it was all building up. The fans were building up the hype, and it was really really fun. And they talk shit, a lot of shit, mind you. And the game started. Remember it was like yesterday. First two drives, Matt Ryan gets two touchdowns, just like usual. You know, it was ending like it was last year. And I may remind you that the Falcons did beat us like 50 to something a few years back, and that was with Lovie Smith. And the Atlanta fans talked shit about us. We just swept them the year before. So this was coming in first. It was our first year at Dirk Cutter. And I remember like Matt Ryan gets two scores. We're up by two scores. They're up by two scores. And then all of a sudden, Jameis Winston throws a touchdown to who else but throws a touchdown to who else? But he throws a touchdown to who else but Mike Evans. I remember the throw that he made a throw. I think it was I want to say it was I forgot it was a running back that we had. It was the running back we had before. We threw the running back. It was like a platform of Atlanta Falcons. They just couldn't tackle him. It was just ridiculous. I remember the moves he made. It was so fun that you could hear a pin drops in that stadium. Like they couldn't say shit. Like it was silent, eerily silent. And that was the best way to describe the beginning of the season for the Atlanta Falcons.
2016 Falcons is a story of getting close, but no cigar. It's a story of choking. It is a story of terrible, terrible misfortune and luck. And it is a story of behind the scenes, popping the champagne bottles too early during halftime.
In fact, if there was one game in particular one of our presenters has to talk about, is that one game that was played in Denver.
As the season progressed, I thought this team was going to be mediocre, shit. And as the season progressed, it got better and better. I think the game that really eclipsed how good that could really be was the Denver game. They manhandled Denver. Denver had no chance of hell of beating them. And when they beat them like that, that was just amazing. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, the Saints game was not something, but this is back when the Saints was not really good. And this was when Carolina was having that down year. Mind you, Carolina went to the Super Bowl the year before this. So this is when Atlanta really was really good. Towards the end of the season, they was getting really, really good, really, really high. And we played them again. That was a different story. When we played them the second time, they got the best of us, but we kept the games close. And after that game, a lot of Falcon fans were just talking their shit. And it's funny when the Atlanta Falcons are actually doing well, they will come out of the forest to talk their shit. I have seen a plethora plethora of Falcons fans come out to Forest for some odd reason. Plethora, all of them. I just never seen it before. I'm a Falcons fan. I'm like, wait a minute, Now, like I said, you gotta know where I live in my area. When I live in my area, we're like the woods, and wherever you ever seen that cartoon of Homer, the meme of Homer going back into that bush and coming out with another hat, and it's like that. That's my area. We're literally the bush. We're literally that bush where you go back and you come out with a different hat. I was the only one of millions of people who didn't root for this team, root for any one of these teams. A lot of people down here probably root for the Washington right at this moment to Washington football team. Sorry, we don't want to say that, but a lot of people root for them, and that's what happened. I mean, they were going crazy around here. They was like, man, the Atlanta Falcons are gonna win it, yeah. And I was like, okay, cool. I thought personally when it got to the playoffs that season, and mind you, I went to the playoffs, and usually I have no reason to watch the playoffs, but this particular playoffs, I wanted to see what would happen. Not because I wanted to personally, no offense, not to see who would go to the playoffs, but to see how Atlanta's gonna fuck this up. But
their first test was against a team that they were familiar with, the Seattle Seahawks, led by the Legion of Doom. Now, most of us thought they were going to lose, but after watching the season, one of our presenters thought differently.
With the Seahawks game, it was the Falcons as usual. They were doing their best imitation of the best show on turf, and they were going up and down the field, but Russell wasn't going out. I mean, him and that defense at that time, that was a time right when the defense was kind of, people were starting to leave and stuff like that, but they still had some of them boys in the backfield, and definitely some style players in the interior. But I just, my mind is just like fixated over and over again on like how great the Falcons offense looked in every game coming up until,
it started with the first game in Seattle. I mean, they beat the shit out of them. I mean, they had no answer to them. Russell Wilson couldn't do nothing. It was just a really, really terrible game for them. That game, in particular, was really, really bad for the Seattle Seahawks. This is when the Seattle Seahawks will probably make the NFC divisional game in these years, and they will always lose in the divisional matchup. And they just fight they usually just go against the eventual Super Bowl champ. So I feel like this game in particular was a microcosm of what the Seattle Seahawks went through. The year before that, they went to Carolina, got beat by the eventual Super Bowl contender, the Super Bowl person that's going to represent the NFC. And this one, they fought against the people that were fighting this and eventually the eventual Super Bowl representative of the NFC. This is just funny that they lost to them. Not talking shit about Seattle, because Seattle was, at this point, still the Legion of Boom at this time. They still were good, but it just wasn't enough. They just couldn't handle Julio Jones in the offense.
One of our presenters watched the NFC Championship, hoping that this team would mess up.
Now, before I saw the NFC Championship, let me go ahead and talk about the NFC, the whole Atlanta Falcons as a whole, because it was a marvelous team. Julio Jones was actually tearing it up. Devontae Freeman was actually doing a good job. Can't remember the other wide receiver because he was really good for him. And also Hooper just came out of nowhere. The offensive line held it down, and defense was not good because it really wasn't good during the regular season because it was getting torn up to asunder during the regular season. But during the playoffs, that defense came to play. They played well, and I'll give them credit for that, which makes me want to vomit. But I think everything culminated really in the NFC Championship. We saw the Atlanta Falcons play the Green Bay Packers. I remember one play in particular that was really pivotal of that season. A micrograph of what the Atlanta Falcons was when Julio Jones. I knew there was a point in that game where Julio was double covered, and Matt Ryan threw the ball up for grabs. Julio caught that motherfucker, and Julio scooted it off like that. Was the game. I know the Packers fans going to come at me and say, the game wasn't over at that point. I mean, even certain people would know that was the game right there because they had no answer after that point. And it was really a sight to see. Not a sight to see the Atlanta Falcons go to the NFC Championship. I had to deal with this shit. You had to hear about Atlanta Falcons talking about how they're the shit. And they're on Twitter just talking their shit, just coming on Bucks Twitter, talking shit like we're the best. Y'all are shit. We're gonna get that Lombardi trophy. You know, and it just was mesmerizing. I was really thinking was really gonna win the NFC, gonna win the Super Bowl. So then I just couldn't believe it that they made it. So I was like, but no offense, the most agonizing, biggest headaches of my life was seeing them Jones make the Super Bowl, and it really hurt.
February 5th, 2017 will be a day that a lot of Falcons fans will remember. A day that will live in infamy. A day that will be haunted by 3 digits split apart.
Now, Super Bowl Sunday. I'm gonna go in my household. I don't know what the other guys are gonna talk about. I don't know what Troll's gonna say. In my household, Super Bowl Sunday, everybody in my household was just about going for the Falcons. Just about going for the Falcons because most of them couldn't stand Tom Brady.
You see, they beat the Saints, the Seahawks, and the Packers to get to the Super Bowl. All understandably and pretty much convincingly.
And I just was watching that Super Bowl, and it was just mesmerizing that whole first quarter going through it because I was just going through it, and then I saw Matt Ryan go down the field. Devontae Freeman gets a touchdown. I was like, okay, cool. Tom Brady's gonna get down the field. I thought this was gonna be, one of those shootouts. It's gonna be a shootout because the Falcons defense was not that good, mind you. They were not good. Boy, was I wrong. They tore poor Tom Brady. Tom Brady couldn't do nothing in that first half of the game. It got to a point, like I said, once it got to 28-3. Now I'm not gonna lie. When it got 28-3, everybody in my household, my brother who is an arrogant asshole, and my dad who just with them talking junk about how they, the Falcons ain't gonna win this game. There's no chance. My brother's beating him and saying there's no chance that they're gonna win. There's no chance they're gonna win.
And then, for some reason, during the Super Bowl, they had the Patriots, mind you, down 28-3 at halftime. They went into the locker room, ladies and gentlemen, popped those champagne bottles,
Now, me and my mom, to this day, me and my mom literally said the same thing, and we thought, and they were sitting there, like everybody left the house, and me and my mom was staying there. Like, what y'all? He said, why are y'all still watching the Super Bowl? I was like, number 12 still on the field, right? I said, yeah, this game ain't over. The game ain't over until 0-0 that man. We literally took that statement to heart because we seen that man do it so many times that we literally can't do it. We knew that it doesn't matter what part of the game you are, that man's going to find a way to get you back into the game.
Started putting on those hats that say NFL 2016 champions. Came outside, the lights went off after they turned the lights on for some strange reason in their own dome, I believe.
And when we saw that game, we saw him come back. I mean, it was like, whoa. Because at first I thought, I was in the back of my mind, I was thinking, Tom Brady gonna make it close, but Atlanta's gonna win. And then they scored the first touchdown. I was like, okay, cool. All right. Yeah. Atlanta's got too much firepower as offense. There's no chance that they scored again. I was like, really? Okay, Atlanta, you're going to respond? Scored again. I was like, what? So then they just kept scoring. And then I was like, shit. So when Julio, I thought, man, okay, Atlanta got to respond. It's literally they got like 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and Julio Jones make up a spectacular catch. One of the best catches I've ever seen in Super Bowl history. Willing their way to get in there. I thought at that point, in my mind, my father, who fell asleep at that point, was sitting there screaming, game over. And at that point, we're thinking, at that point in my back of my mind, I'm thinking, good effort, good job, New England, you made it a game. Then the dumbest shit I ever seen in my entire life happened. You throw 3 motherfucking times. I never seen it in my life. I mean, I coached football. I know in that situation, you run it 3 damn times and you set up you tell your kicker where you're gonna kick, where he's good, what half mark you want to kick on. You run the ball. Hell, you can knee it right there. You can knee it 3 times right there and let Matt Bryant kick the field goal. They still would have got a chance to get it. Matt Bryant was good at that spot. That was him in the field goal range. They were perfect. No, didn't even attempt to run the ball. They took the penalty. It was very bad. It was terrible. What the Falcons doing? They, at this point, I was thinking, yeah, they lost this L, and they took a bad L. So at this point, the writing's on the wall, and we know what's going to happen next. The Falcons put the ball, and at this point, I started thinking, Atlanta about to choke this game. It's about to be real bad. Atlanta Falcons. I said, if Atlanta chokes this game, I was sitting there thinking in my mind, when Atlanta, it went from. Now I'm not gonna lie, I thought when they got the ball at their own 5, I was sitting there. It went from if Atlanta chokes this. It went from if Atlanta chokes this game, I'm never gonna let them. I'm thinking from here on out, that's gonna happen. Then the Julian Edelman catch happens. Then I went from if they win to I know they're gonna win. So it went from that. The writing was on the wall. I knew they were gonna get a touchdown in a 2-point conversion. It just was. They were not gonna win that game. It just was terrible coaching from both fronts. And then they won the coin toss. Writing was on the wall. Patriots win. It's really amazing. It's the most amazing job I've ever seen. Amazing.
William they ended up losing 34-28. They didn't score another point. And not only did they not score, they gave up 30 plus points to the other team in half of a football game. That's an embarrassment. That's terrible. That's like somebody got paid to like lose the game, and like they all like talked about it in the halftime. It's like, yeah, to save my daughter because these guys took her. We gotta throw the game. They're like, all right, man, we got you. We love a record, you know. They came out there and threw the damn game. Because what else can you fucking explain? Like did the Patriots like have like the Monstars still like the Falcons juice? Like what's going on with that? It makes no sense. Just so you know just how bogus it was. Want everybody to understand, they beat the Saints 32-38. Seahawks 20-36. And then the Packers with the bad man himself in the AFC Championship game, Aaron Nasty Man Rodgers, 21-44. Stopped his ass, only to not score any points after the lights went off. Turn out the lights, the party's over. And I succeed and pass my time to GM Dog.
We then asked both of our presenters, did they feel any remorse for what happened to the 2016 Atlanta Falcons?
They deserved. You talk all that shit all year long, and you back it up. Honestly, you perform offensively time and time again, and defensively you get the turnover when needed, and you hold teams to 3 points time and time again in the red zone. But if you're gonna fall apart and pull a choke job like that, like Steph Curry once said, if I shimmy on people, I cannot be mad if someone shimmies on me. Do not feel bad for yourself. Feel bad for the fact that you got there choked, and your franchise has continued to choke every season since, that you haven't even sniffed the championship round for the NFC yet. Like, you had greatness within your grasp and you fumbled the ball, quite literally. You need to be ashamed of yourself. And honestly, y'all don't need to talk anything until y'all hit the restart. I give Atlanta Falcon fans until 2026, because that was 2016 is 2021. Why have you guys not been back to the championship round when every team that I just named that you guys beat to get there is relevant year after year after year, and you guys simply aren't? Like, it's your own fault and it's your own vault. No, I don't feel bad. I don't have remorse for that team. Bunch of fucking bums.
Do I feel sad for the Falcons? No. Fuck no. I don't feel bad for the motherfuckers. They deserve to take this L. They deserve that L. 20-3. I don't talk about 20-3 no more. It's now it's no longer 28-3. Because it's now 17-0 now, because thanks to y'all, we came back to you and we won the Super Bowl. 17-0, I think. Yeah. But all in all, it was a good journey for the Falcons that ended in heartache, pain, and something that we will never forget. A meme that will never go away. And you turn yourself into the human meme machine. You went from perennial to Super Bowl contenders to the meme joke of the week. And that was the whole point. So, you know, it's funny how all the Falcons fans went back to the fours, and it was interesting. Do I wish it was different? No. Would I change this for anything? No. Fuck the Falcons. That's all I had to say.